Linear equations in one variable. First of all, we need to talk about the different types of equations. You have identities, you have things that are not true, and then you have conditional equations. For identities, what that means is whenever you have an equation, the left side and the right side are equal to each other. That's what makes them identities. For B, a contradiction, if you have some number plus 4 is equal to that same number, that's never going to happen. That's why this is called a contradiction. And the solution to this would be the empty set. I forgot to mention that up here. The solution to an identity would be infinitely many solutions. It could be anything in the world and it would still make that equation true. Okay, for C, a conditional equation means there are a set number of solutions. For example, this equation. What could you put in here for x to make this equation true? Well, you could only put a 5 or a negative 5 in here to make this true. That's why your solution set looks like this. Okay, let's go ahead and try to solve some equations. So on this first one, we need to distribute to get rid of all of the parentheses. That's what we want to do first. So we'll have 5x minus 10 plus 3x equals 1. Now we'll distribute that negative 4. So negative 4 times x. And negative 4 times 3/4 would be a negative 3. Okay? Now that we have all of the parentheses out of the way, what you want to do is combine like terms that are already on the same side. So 5x plus 3x will be 8x. On the right side, we have a 1 minus 3. That'll give us a negative 2. The next thing you want to do is collect all of the x's on the same side of the equal sign. So in this one, we have a minus 4x. Well, to get rid of a minus 4x, we need to do the opposite, which is a plus 4x. We'll add 4x to both sides of our equation. So negative 4x plus 4x is 0. 8x plus 4x is 12x, and we bring down everything we didn't use. Okay, now we have a negative 10 that we need to move to the other side. To get rid of a negative 10, we'll need to, or a minus 10, we need to add 10 to both sides. So negative 10 plus 10 is 0. We'll have 12x is equal to negative 2 plus 10 is an 8. I'm just leaving out all kinds of things. Okay, now this says 12 times x. To get rid of times 12, we do the opposite, which will be divided by 12. Well, 12 divided by 12 is 1, so we'll get x equals 8 over 12. But 8 over 12 can be reduced to 2/3. So 2/3 will be the solution to this equation. Now to check your answer, you would take 2/3 and put it back in here for x. If you do that, the left side should equal the right side. And if it doesn't, then you did something wrong. Okay, how about the next one? We need to get rid of our parentheses, so let's bring everything down on the left. 5 times x and 5 times negative 2. We need to collect all the x's on the same side, so we will subtract the 5x. That would be 0, but the crazy thing is this is also 0. I get negative 8 equals negative 10. Well, there are no more x's, and this is definitely not a true statement. That means there is no solution to this equation. Another way to write that would be the empty set symbol. The empty set also can look like this. You draw those set brackets with nothing inside them. That also means empty set. Okay, how about this equation? We have all of these fractions, When I have an equation with fractions in it, I usually just like to get rid of the fractions. And I do that by multiplying by a common denominator. Well, that common denominator is 8, which is really the same thing as 8 over 1. Now I'm going to write out this next step, but in the future, it's okay to just leave this step out. What we want to do is multiply 8 by every one of these terms. So 8 times y over 8, and then we'll have the 3y minus 2 over 2 times that 8. And then the 2y plus 5 over 4 times 8. Now, remember, whenever you multiply fractions, you can reduce them. Excuse me. 8 will go into 8 one time, you're just left with a y. 2 will go into 8 4 times, and you're left with 4 there, times this 3y minus 2. And 4 will go into 8 2 times, so you have 2 times this 2y plus 5. Now this looks like an equation that we're used to. Go ahead and distribute, get rid of your parentheses. Combine like terms that are already on the same side. Collect all of your y's on the same side. Add the constant. So we're going to end up with 9y equals 18. To get rid of times 9, we need to divide by 9. That's 1, so y is equal to 2. Don't forget to check your answers. Now for this problem, a lot of people like to get rid of their decimals, but since we have our nice graphing calculators, they're really not that bad. So just go ahead and work this as usual. Multiply this out, 0.75x minus 1.5. Combine like terms that are already on the same side. If you have a negative 1.5 and you add a 0.12, you're going to get a negative 1.38. Okay, we need to get all the x's together and all the constants on the other side. You can do that in 1 or 2 steps. It's up to you. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and add this 1.38 to both sides. So that's 0, and I get 0.75x is equal to 0.35x plus 1.38. Collect all of the x's on the same side, so we're going to subtract this little guy over here. That's 0. And I'm going to get a positive 0.4x equals 1.38. Now I need to get the x by itself, so I divide both sides by 0.4. That's 1, so I get x is equal to, that was supposed to be a negative, wasn't it? Oh no, we're good. So we get x is equal to 3.45. Now I'm definitely going to go back and check that one to make sure it's correct. Okay. So what exactly do each of these solutions mean? If you work out this problem and you get 10 equals 6, what does that mean? There are no variables, and what you got is not true. That means that there is no solution. How about number 2? You work the entire equation out and you get 0 equals 0. That is true. Since it is true, you're going to have an identity. Since it's an identity, you have infinitely many solutions. Keep in mind, that's not the same thing as infinity. Infinity is not a solution. Okay, how about the last one? 0 equals negative 4. Is that true? No, this is a contradiction, so that is no solution.